Hey guys, Andrew here with Lost in Sound. I thought I'd make this video to show what settings have worked well for me using the Apple AirPort series of products for a closed network environment. So that's with no internet access involved. It's just several wired and wireless devices talking to each other, connected on a network used mainly to control audio, video, and lighting equipment for a live event. And I've seen some stuff online about how the Apple AirPort series of products have not worked for a lot of people for one reason or another. And so I thought, well, shoot, I've been using this older AirPort Extreme and a couple of AirPort Expresses with pretty flawless results for over 7 years. And so I just thought I'd show what settings have worked well for me. So I'm using the AirPort Utility app, which allows me to tweak the settings of this thing. And this is available on Mac or iOS devices. And you'll have to connect to whatever device that you're wanting to edit, or you'll have to connect that device to whatever network you're already on. And so when I tap on this, I can kind of get the general diagnostics of this device. I've already put in a password, and so that's why it's giving me the option to hit this edit button here. And so I'm going to hit edit, and this first thing we see is the base station name. That's the same name we were just looking at in the AirPort Utility app. This is not the wireless network name. This is just what AirPort Utility sees this device as, the name it has for it. And this password here, again, not the wireless network password. This is just the password to edit the settings on the device. So after you set that up, move on to the next tab. This is the Internet tab. In my use case, I don't use internet. So this is only, like I said, for devices on a closed network to talk to each other. And so I just left this setting on the default, DHCP, and left all this stuff blank. So moving on to the wireless network. This is important here. I want to create a wireless network. So that's what I have this device set up to do. And I type in whatever network name I want here. I've been using this WPA2 personal type of wireless security, and that's worked well for me. It doesn't have a certain number of characters that you have to put in or anything, and so it allows you to put whatever password you want here. And then you want to go down to wireless options. Typically, live events are done in public places, and typically public places have lots of other devices that run on wireless frequencies. And so I would recommend, if you're not already, to use a 5 gigahertz range instead of the 2.4 gigahertz range for any communication you have to do when you're around any other wireless devices that are not on your network. And so this particular older model AirPort does not allow me to turn off the 2.4 gigahertz radio. So my best option here is to check this box, and it allows the SSID, or the network name, to be separate for the 5 gigahertz network. And so that way, when I connect with a client device with a tablet or a computer or whatever device I have, I can see, okay, I want to join the Lost in Sound 5 gigahertz network. And that way I'm never using the 2.4 radio. And then I left the settings here: radio mode automatic, 5 gigahertz channel automatic, and that's it. And then the next tab, network, is also important. You'll want, I left this set on the default settings of DHCP and NAT. I think you might not need NAT unless you're connected to the internet, but I'm not a network expert. And I just left it on this setting. You do want to, you may or may not want to turn your DHCP on. There's two ways to set up a closed network like this. You either have all static IP addresses, which means you manually assign IP addresses to every device on the network. Or you tell your network brain, this device, the AirPort, which is basically like a router and a switch and a wireless access point all in one, and you can tell it to hand out IP addresses to any device that joins the network, and that's what I do. So down here in the network options, I have a DHCP range. And you've probably seen some of these numbers before. You may use like 192.168 etc. I use this default for Apple products as 10.0.0 and then dot, and then I chose this address here, 101 to 200. And so that gives me up to 100 devices, which is way more than I need to be able to connect. And this AirPort will hand out an IP address to up to 100 devices. And then it also still gives me the freedom to assign anything below 101. I could have a device on the network with a static IP address that I've assigned. So I've got 100 static IPs and 100 IPs available for DHCP. And then I've also got even, another 54 or so after 200 if I really needed them for anything. Again, way more than I need. So that's pretty much it. I think these settings here are the default. I don't remember changing those. And then the last thing is the disks tab, which I don't use. This is just the USB port that's on the AirPort products. If you wanted to connect a hard drive with files on it, and then you could share those files over the network. But that's not something I use. So I'm gonna hit cancel here, don't update, because I didn't want to actually change any settings. The last thing I'll mention, there is a green light on there's a light on the front of this device, the physical device. When it turns green, I know everything is working well, and I don't have to log in and look at settings or anything. If it's green, I know I'm good to go. But to make that happen, though, what you'll have to do is it's going to tell you when you set this up in a non-internet situation, it's going to tell you there are errors. And so once you've made your settings, you've updated the device, you'll log back into the AirPort utility, and it'll say, hey, here's 3 different error messages. The Ethernet cable is unplugged, and what it's talking about is the wide area network port, which would connect typically to your internet, your modem, or whatever you have. And so what I did, because I'm not using internet, I hit the drop down and hit ignore on that. So that allows that not to trigger that orange light and to ignore that particular error message. Oh wait, there's another one. There's also no internet connection. Well, I'm gonna ignore that too. No DNS servers. I don't need DNS servers. I'm not using internet. So I ignored that one too. Once I ignored those 3 errors, then that lets me know that when I see the green light on the front of my device, when I'm at an event, that means that all the stuff I am using, my wireless network and my DHCP, is all functioning correctly. And if there is an error, even after I've ignored these internet-related errors, if there is an orange light on the front of it, that means that something that I do need is actually causing a problem, and I do need to dig into it further. But so far, that hasn't happened. So anyway, this is what's worked well for me. Again, I've used this with this older model AirPort Extreme and 2 AirPort Expresses for several years now. And I hope this video is helpful. And I'd love your feedback on it. Thanks.